For as long as I can remember, I have always been a person who believes in miracles. I remember as a child happily watching people win the lottery, meet the love of their lives in the most unexpected ways, or reunite with distant family and friends by accident. I always believed that sooner or later, I would experience something impossible, a miracle. At 44 years old, and with a life without many anecdotes worth remembering, today I can say that I lived something impossible. What I never expected was for that miracle to be bad. This happened only a few years ago. Too little time to have been able to overcome it. At the time, I was the janitor of an American football team that, for obvious reasons, I cannot mention. I can only say that, despite being known, it is still a somewhat humble team. Everyone on the team is a good person. They never made me feel that I was less than just because of my job. And even though I don't work with them anymore, I will always remember them fondly. What I will not remember fondly is the club's locker room and what haunted me in it at night. It all started one Tuesday night. Even though the team hadn't played, I had to prepare and clean all the facilities for the next day. Until a noise startled me. A loud noise came from the main player's locker room. It couldn't be a thief. We were a very humble club, and we didn't have to be robbed. I approached with great curiosity, and to my surprise, the door was opening and closing by itself. Terrified, I ran away. I tried not to think about it, but this started to happen every night I was there. I never got too close. I wasn't the least bit curious as to what was going on. It didn't excite me at all, but I was worried that something would happen to the players. So I went to talk to my boss.
Hey, Jacob, what brings you here? Sir, I need to talk about something important. Oh my God. If it's about the supposed ghost in the locker room, I have more important things to do. Sir, someone has to take care of that. It's dangerous for the rest of the staff and players. You realize it might just be an air vent, right? It's all closed. In that place, there's no air coming in. The door is not broken either, and it only happens at night. Okay, you seem to be very convinced, aren't you? Yes, I am. Excellent, but you must understand how crazy this sounds to me. Why don't you film what's going on so I know what we're dealing with? But, sir, I can't believe you otherwise, man. I'm sorry.
The idea of going into the locker room or signing whatever had happened there didn't appeal to me at all. But it had already happened several nights. What could happen? As the night came, the noises were not long in coming. I put down my cleaning stuff and took out my cell phone. I started filming the banging, as always, in an inexplicable way. At that moment, I thought that wasn't enough, that somehow my boss was going to deny to my face what was going on. So against my better judgment, I went into the locker room with the camera on. Nothing out of the ordinary was happening in the locker room, but something wasn't right. A strange coldness ran through the whole place. My body was tense and it was hard to breathe. I felt I didn't belong here. I turned towards the door to leave, but the door slammed in my face and pulled me back. Suddenly, the lights went out and the room went into absolute darkness. Without my getting up from the floor, footsteps began to sound at my side, slowly approaching. I tried to get up, but my body did not react. Was something preventing me from getting up, or was I just so afraid I couldn't move? The footsteps were getting closer and closer until all of a sudden, they stopped in front of me.
What the hell was that? My leg!
I didn't understand anything of what was happening, but what was happening in my leg, I didn't need to understand. An indescribable pain went through my knee. I looked to see if I had fractured it, but there was no blood. I started to crawl out of the place, but the light cut out again. And unlike the previous times, this time, it didn't come back. I crawled further and further using all my strength. In the meantime, I felt footsteps walking at the same speed as me, walking beside me. Whatever was there was breathing very close to me. Meanwhile, I could see absolutely nothing. I just kept walking away while crying, praying that nothing would happen to me. As I was walking up the stairs to the exit, the lights came back on, and my breathing let up. I took one last look as I walked out and gasped. The thing I had seen in the locker room was watching me from below, and the worst part was that I wasn't alone. The place was surrounded by them, almost identical to each other, all staring at me. I walked away as best I could and did not go back to that place. A week later, my knee was a little better, but it still hurt. I went to see my boss, and it turns out he had already seen the footage. They found my camera in the locker room. I must have dropped it when the power went out. My boss saw the door and blamed it on the wind again, ignoring anything I said. It was like I was in denial. That same day, I left the job and never set foot in the entire facility again. I now try to make a living as best I can. Never again did I expect to live the impossible. I am now satisfied with living a normal life without any surprises. I never again pray for a miracle to happen, because it may happen. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the video. If so, please leave a like. And also, a small percentage of people that watch my videos are actually subscribed. If you want to support this channel and make this channel reach the 1 million mark, please consider subscribing. It's free and you can change your mind later. Enjoy.
I was probably 11 years old when this incident happened. My dad was a huge football fan and often went to see live matches. This one time, my mom went to stay with my grandma for a while, so it was just me and my dad. We were planning how to spend our weekend when he suggested we go to a football game. It was a match between the Dallas Cowboys and the Miami Dolphins. My dad and I got into the car and drove to the stadium. It was flooded with people. Fans from all over the country came to see their favorite team win. Being my first time at a football game, I was excited too.
Riley, you stay here. I'll go get the popcorn, okay?
Okay, Dad. I stood in the hallway and watched people entering the stadium. Within 5 minutes, the stadium was filled and the game began. My dad and I got good seats too and started enjoying the game to the fullest. I was overwhelmed to see so many people cheering and screaming for their teams. I ate a tub full of popcorn and drank a large cup of Pepsi. My dad was having a ball watching his home team scoring back to back. Meanwhile, I started to feel a tingly sensation in my stomach and felt the urge to pee. Dad? Dad, I need to go to the bathroom.
Now? Well, can't you wait till halftime, kiddo?
I can go by myself. It's just around the corner.
You sure?
Yes, Dad.
Fine then. Promise me you won't wander around. You'll go straight to the washroom and then come right back here, okay?
Yes, Dad, it won't take long, I promise. Saying this, I got up from my seat and went into the hallway again. Everyone was hooked on the game, so the hallway was empty. I started to walk toward the end of it, right where the girls' bathroom was located. Needless to say, it was so quiet that I could hear my footsteps. From time to time, I could hear the audience cheer and clap, but that soon faded away once I reached the bathroom. I was about to go in when I heard a female voice behind me. Riley. I turned back and, surprisingly, saw my mom standing at the narrow passageway leading to my right. Mom? Is that you? The light at the passageway was flickering like crazy, so even if I could figure out it was a woman, I still couldn't see her face well enough to be sure if it was my mom. Also, the fact that my mother was miles away from this stadium confused me even more. "Follow me this way, Riley." "But, Mom, how did you come here? You said you wouldn't be back till next week." "I came to surprise you. Come here. Let me take you to the bathroom. There's another one on this side, much cleaner than that one. Come with me." Now, generally, I don't say no to my mom. But even though everything about this encounter felt funny and fishy, I still didn't know why I couldn't say no. Some kind of invisible force dragged me toward the mysterious woman whom I thought was my mother. I started walking toward the narrow passage. She was walking ahead of me, and no matter how fast I walked, we always had this 9 or 10-foot distance between us. In that blinking light, I could see the woman wearing a white silk shirt that had some kind of weird stains on it. Her hands and legs were filled with scratches. She stopped in front of a small white door and opened it. She was right. There was another bathroom with a big mirror on the wall. She went in, and so did I. In the gloomy light of that bathroom, for the first time, I saw my mom's face. Her skin was pale like a sheet, and her eyes were wide like a night owl. She had a scary smirk on her face. As I stood in front of that mirror and noticed my reflection, I began to feel weird. I looked back at my mom and said, "Mom, you need to stand outside. I can't go in if you keep watching me." "Fine. I will wait for you to come back. Then we will go somewhere exciting. I have a surprise for you." Okay. She closed the door behind her, and as I turned back to look at the mirror, what I saw made my stomach drop. My reflection looked nothing like me. It had turned into the horrifying face of a little girl. She had hollow eyes and a largely expanded dark mouth. I wanted to scream, but my voice died in my throat. The girl's mouth closed up slowly, like a shrinking rubber band, and she spoke to me. "Don't follow her, Riley. Get out of here and go straight to your dad." Her voice sounded so distorted, nothing like a little girl. Who are you?" "Go to your dad. She is not your mom. Please, go to your dad or else you'll end up like me, stuck inside this mirror forever." I wanted to move, but I was so scared that my body froze. Meanwhile, I heard my mom's voice from the other side of the bathroom door. "Riley, don't listen to her. Come out. Come out. I have a surprise for you. I will take you somewhere nice, Riley." I don't know why. From all the courage that came, I finally managed to scream out to the woman. "You are not my mom!" As soon as I said that, the woman started banging on the door while screaming like crazy.
"Come out, Riley! Come out now! Don't say no to your mama! Come out!"
She grabbed the door handle and was about to twist it open, but I jumped on the door and locked it from the inside. The ghost girl in the mirror started crying, but instead of tears, black, thick liquid dripped down her hollow eyes. "Don't open the door, Riley! She is not your mother! Don't end up like me! Don't open the door!"
"Riley, don't listen to her! Open it! Open it now!"
I can barely explain the state of my mind during that time. It was like two demonic voices talking inside my head, each trying to scare me to death to choose one of them. I felt my head was going to explode. I covered my ears with my hands and sat down on the floor, screaming and sobbing. Make it stop! Make it stop! Dad, help me! I don't know when I passed out, but I woke up at the hospital the next day. Luckily, my dad went looking for me when I didn't come back, and he heard my whimpering cries from the narrow passage. He broke down the door with security and got me out. But the story doesn't end here. When I told him everything that happened that moment, my dad called the stadium authorities and found out a horrible truth. A year back, a woman with a deranged mental state took her daughter to the stadium. During the game, she asked her daughter to follow her into the bathroom, where she had hidden a surprise for her. Once the daughter got inside, she choked her own child and then slit her wrists, breaking the glass of the bathroom window. It aches my heart to think the girl's soul is still stuck in that mirror because she died in front of it. She saved me from the haunting ghost of her deranged mother that day. I pray to God that she finally rests in peace.
I was just a 10-year-old boy in 1995. At that time, I remember my dad started taking me to the football games he enjoyed so much because I kept insisting that I wanted to go with him.
Are you sure you'll be able to take care of Thomas, John?
My God, Emily!
My dad has always been a distant and unaffectionate man. So as a child, I was very excited to be able to spend time with him, seeing something that made him so happy. I don't think I really liked it. I didn't even understand football very well, but I still had a good time with my dad. The day that reason for not going to a game again happened, my dad and I arrived at the stadium as usual. I used to be a very curious child, so I immediately noticed that something different was going on.
Why are there so many mascots today, Dad?
I think it has to do with the NFL Team Heroes program or something.
Oh, can we go take a closer look at them?
What for? You'll be able to see them from our seats throughout the game.
But, Dad...
Let's sit down.
He grabbed my wrist, trying to stop me from moving away from him. And together, we walked to the area where we used to sit. From there, I could look at all the different mascots present in the stadium. A hawk, a dog, a ram, a cowboy, a Viking, and many others. But the one that excited me the most was the one from the Miami Dolphins. A dolphin, of course.
This is so cool, Dad!
The game hasn't even started, Thomas.
I mean, the mascots. I like them.
When my dad didn't like something, he would act cold towards others. I already knew that perfectly well, so I was also aware I had to stay calm and quiet, which I did. It didn't take long for the game to start, which lifted my dad's spirits in a way that made him look like a totally different person. He seemed very happy, 1,000 times more than when he talked to me, which I couldn't understand. Anyway, since I was bored and discouraged, I turned my attention back to the mascots, but this time I couldn't find the dolphin.
Where are you?
Suddenly, a gray thing passed right in front of us. That's when it hit me. What I had been looking for was right under my nose, but I wasn't too happy about it. In front of me was walking the mascot of the Miami Dolphins. From afar, it seemed to be as cute as a real dolphin, but up close, it was the opposite. Its huge gray head made it look very intimidating, and combined with its small arms, made it a misshapen and strange figure. But it was its big blue eyes surrounded by black that gave me the creeps. Suddenly, the creature stopped, turned its head towards me, and stared. At that moment, I felt something strange in my stomach, as if I was dizzy.
Dad?
Disturbed, I pulled on my dad's shirt to get his attention.
What do you want, Thomas?
I wanted to tell him the truth, but at the same time, I knew it wouldn't make anything better. My dad was going to think I was a coward, and he would never bring me to a game again. So I lied to him.
I need to go to the bathroom.
But I received no response from him.
Dad?
What do you want me to do? Go on your own. Aren't you a big boy?
Yes, Dad.
I quickly got up and walked alone to the entrance of the place where the bathrooms were. I opened the door and went to one of the bathroom stalls, closed it, and sat on the toilet. My plan was to stay there for a while to continue the lie, so Dad wouldn't find out how bad of a son I really was. Suddenly, I heard how the door was opened. The person's footsteps could be heard throughout the room. I wasn't paying any particular attention to it, at least not until I saw the stranger's shoes in front of the bathroom stall I was in. They were big, gray shoes.
Hello, kid.
I didn't answer him.
I can hear you, you know.
Of course he could. My breathing had become so noisy that I covered my nose and mouth in an attempt to silence it.
Now, you're very quiet in there. Do you need help? I saw you walk in here alone, so I thought you might need it.
My heart was beating as fast as it had in my entire life.
Are you okay? I'm going to have to go in.
I didn't want to see the deformed monster.
I don't need any help. I'm a big boy. A big boy? Wanna play with me, big boy? No. No? Why not? I don't like dolphins. Oh, really? I guess I'll have to go. I wouldn't want to scare you. Bye.
After hearing how he closed the door, I stood there, still, for a few minutes, as the atmosphere still felt somehow bad. When I finally stopped being so scared, I walked out of the bathroom stall and washed my hands.
Dolphins are supposed to be cute.
I walked to the door of the bathroom and opened it, hoping I could finally be next to my dad. I took several steps back. The dolphin was still there, but this time, something was different. He was not wearing his head. Instead, the smiling face of a man could be seen.
I'm not a dolphin, you know. It occurred to me that once I take off my costume, we can play together.
Tears were coming out of my eyes.
I don't want to.
I tried to push him to get out of the bathroom, but he grabbed both of my arms, pinning me down.
No, stop! You're gonna play with me, boy. Do you understand?
I screamed nonstop while keeping my eyes closed until I felt the man release me. When I opened them, I saw my dad there, hitting him.
Dad!
He turned to see me.
Why didn't you do anything, Thomas? Were you going to let him do what he wanted? Why didn't you defend yourself?
After that day, our family started to drift apart. My mom and dad were constantly arguing about what had happened. She couldn't believe that my father had left me alone. But what disturbed her most was me and my sudden change in attitude. I was traumatized by that experience. I didn't want to leave my room, nor did I want to see anyone, or even talk, least of all, to my father. Every time he got close to me, I would go into a fit of anger and start hitting everything around me. In fact, I only wanted one thing: to go to a game again. I wanted to show my father that I was not afraid and I was capable of defending myself.
I don't want to eat.
But Thomas,
You know what I want.
I won't let you go back to that place.
Weeks passed until I had to be admitted to a hospital due to how weak my body was. But that was exactly what helped me know what I was supposed to do. I needed to be stronger than the one who had hurt me. Actually, I made it. I managed to become a mascot, but I did what the dolphin couldn't. That's why I'm in jail now.